So I saw the trailer for the new Jackass film yesterday. I'm actually quite looking forward to it.
I told you, Calvin. I
enjoy the Jackass films. They're not there's no they're not good or bad. I just enjoy them doing stupid shit.
The trailer came on last night, and Calvin was like, "Who's still interested in this?" I was like, "I bet Rhys. I bet Rhys wants to watch it."
I do like
There we can go, Rhys.
Yeah, I'll go see it. If someone else wants to go, I'll go. I won't go.
Yeah, man, I'll go. Oh, when's it out? Like the 4th?
New people, it's exciting.
Machine Gun Kelly's in it.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I hope they batter him.
Oh, yeah, God, I hope so. I just saw a thing on Twitter about Machine Gun Kelly. He said, like, his engagement ring to Megan Fox, it's, like, got thorns on the inside. So if she tries to take it off, it hurts.
What a nerd. Because they drank each other's blood, didn't they?
Love is pain. And I was like, this guy's the worst bloke alive. Yeah. And her.
After they got engaged, apparently they drank each other's blood. And I'm just like,
no.
You don't need to. That's too much.
You don't need to.
That's too much. I get it. You're in love. That is too much, though.
That's something else, though.
And it's going to be really embarrassing in like 2.5 years
when they break up. Yeah. I hope they don't even get married. I hope it doesn't even go that far.
Yeah.
I've literally never heard one of his songs.
Honestly, I hate that I'm about to say this, but his music's actually not that bad.
I've only listened to a few. I think his newer stuff is better than his rap stuff. His rap stuff wasn't that good.
Oh yeah, no, his new stuff's definitely a lot better than that. But him as a person, trash.
Yeah,
just the worst bloke.
Oh. What did he say? I am marijuana. Was that somebody?
Oh, she said like. Apparently, she turned around and said, "You smell like weed," and he said, "I am weed."
I am weed, and then disappeared
in a puff of smoke.
That's so weird.
I hate him so much. Oh, right. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Keeping It Real podcast, a place to be for all things movies and TV. As always, I'm your host, James, joined by Calvin and Rhys. Today, we're talking about Scream, or as I've been calling it, 5 Cream, because Scream 4 was Screforum, so I don't know why they didn't do it. I think that's a trend that we need to bring back. It's the 5th film in the classic horror franchise, but the first one to not be directed by Wes Craven, who we sadly lost in, was it 2015? Sounds about right, doesn't it? Yeah. Sounds about right. Taking over the reins of the franchise are directors. I'm gonna get this name wrong. Matt Bettinelli Alpin and his friend with a much easier last name, Tyler Gillett, who you may know from his pal from that great 2019 movie Ready or Not. You've both seen Ready or Not, haven't you? Yeah, fantastic. I gave it a rewatch before I watched Scream for the first time, and I was like, they're gonna crush this. That's exactly the tone that I feel you need to bring to a Scream film. I want to know where we were all at before going into 5 Cream. Where were we at personally with the franchise? Because the first film is my favorite horror. I love it. It's a comfort film. And I love all the sequels as well. I just think they're so much fun. But what about you guys?
I feel like they progressively get worse.
So do you think 4? And we're not talking about number 5 yet.
No,
you think 4 is the worst?
Yeah, because by the time 4 came around, it just seemed very generic. And I think they fell into that trap. There are a lot of films did in like the 2000s, 2010s, where there's like all these characters, but they haven't got a personality between them.
But maybe it was done on purpose, Rhys.
Yeah, but that's the thing about Scream. They've got this amazing scapegoat for anything you say.
Exactly.
That's what they meant to do.
Is it just
especially with this film? I'm not going to spoil them, but especially with this film, if you complain about it,
you're like, well,
they'll go, honestly, that's the point. That's
the point. Calvin, what about you?
I feel like the first one has the sort of point of being, revising horror tropes and reusing them in funny, interesting ways. But then I just really don't like the sequels. Not this one, like the 2, 3, and 4. 2 was okay if I remember rightly, but 3 and 4 just weren't great. I think 4 was still stuck. It was out in like 2011. What I remember, it felt stuck in like the time that the first one was almost set. It still had that feeling, and that's what I was apprehensive going into this one, because I was just constantly thinking, why is this back out? How are they going to bring this plot, the same plot essentially, into the modern age? And they did it quite well. But going into this film, I actually couldn't care at all about where this franchise goes.
That's so upsetting to me. Scream's got this weird thing where if any of the franchise just churned out sequels that were basically, the first film again, time after time, I wouldn't allow it. But Scream's just in this weird, it's got its own weird little thing going on, right? I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, like I said, it's because they've done that whole thing of like,
exactly,
these kind of other movies.
They've established this meta-ness and these rules.
For me, that works for one movie. I feel like by 5, it's a little bit tiring.
I think because they all sort of do a play on that initial concept of it's a commentary on the state of, the horror franchise. So number 2 is about sequels. Number 3 is about trilogies wrapping up. Number 4 is remakes. And now it's, as we hear in this film, a requel, which is sort of this trend of rebooting a franchise, but, tying it into already established lore, making it a sequel, bringing back legacy characters and stuff, but also focusing on a younger generation of characters. So I think they all sort of tackle a different point. And for me, it just works. Like any other franchise that did this, I'd be bored, but it screams weird for me. So the plot for this film is we've got a new protagonist, Sam Carpenter, who is brought back to the town of Woodsboro after her sister is attacked in one of those classic opening Scream scenes. And then again, it's just, it's a whodunit. Basically, who out of this group of friends is behind the Ghostface mask?
A whodunit that you can guess within the first half hour.
A whodunit that I guessed as soon as they were cast. But it didn't take away from it. It didn't take away from it. Before we get into spoilers, Rhys, what did you think quickly?
I think it was fine. I think I was at a point where because I binge watched them all within the 2 days before. I think I was just a bit fatigued with the films and like.
Okay.
So I think going into this, I was like,
Scream again.
I gotta watch another Scream. But I feel like if I left it and went back to it, maybe I'd like it a bit more. But I felt like it was just one of those things. It was very. I don't think it did anything new. I know it wasn't trying to. But I just felt like it was just a bit stale. And like I said, the whole basing it on on movie tropes works for one movie. At this point, I'm just a bit like, okay, we get it. Like,
okay.
And it did that thing where, it points out where it's always like, requels aren't always as good as the originals. And I feel like a lot of films do that now. So that when it's not as good.
Yeah, they're like, well,
it's like, well, that's the joke. That's the joke. Like Home Alone, the new Home Alone did it. And it was like,
I can't believe you sat through the new Home Alone.
I did, yeah. It was Christmas. I was in a good mood.
And then you weren't.
And I was like, oh my God, this film.
This has ruined the holidays. Calvin, what about you?
I actually enjoyed it. Go back to, I don't think this one was stale. I found 2, 3, and 4 to be stale, and maybe it's just because Rhys maybe watched them so close together. But I actually think this one, because my main concern was like, what are they going to critique now? And it actually, like, the stuff that started critiquing, like with the bringing back legacy characters, that is a modern film trend. And I was actually like, oh yeah, I haven't actually realized that yet. And it's like,
I didn't realize that going in. Yeah,
all new films, like sequels to something that are considered like good in some way by people, tend to have that trend. They bring in new characters and then bring in the old actors to play, like Jurassic Park's going to do it now because the first 2 Jurassic World films have been subpar, so they're going to try and like rectify it with the third one by doing one of these like legacy character films. I actually thought it, for me, I thought it felt quite fresh. I really enjoyed just the sort of campy murder scenes, even though I thought they were quite well done as well. I quite enjoyed the sort of, especially the opening one. I've always enjoyed. It was just the one shot and like not knowing if someone's in their house or like, but yeah, the sort of, I liked that it went into, I feel like the first, because the first one and this one are so far apart in terms of like when they were released, what was going on with films and cinema in that time compared to the 90s, compared to like modern cinema, we've got streaming and everything and the internet. I actually really enjoyed that the sort of, they went into like, obviously the modern trends of Hollywood sequels with the sort of requel type thing. And also I really enjoyed them going into like toxic fandoms. So I feel like that is like a huge part of essentially fandom at the moment. Like just people aren't happy with anything because it's not like the original. And I just thought that was really clever and funny. I will admit, like I know like the reveal of who the killer is was like a sort of like a satire in and of itself, because it's the person you most suspect anyway. But I kind of wish they went about it. I thought the film was made really well and it was directed really well. So I kind of thought they had the capacity, like I said, after the film, to actually make this like an interesting whodunit and keep crisscrossing, because it wasn't really that. It was just more so people suspecting each other. And then, but I really thought like that. I think that's why the reveal I didn't mind, because like, yeah, it works. It's what they set out to do. But for me, I kind of was like, I feel like they had the capacity to actually do something quite clever and quite like, oh my God, like sweep the rug from underneath you. And I would have enjoyed that. But I did enjoy the end for the most part. I mean, all the killing at the end was great.
Oh, that's
I
just
thought it was really well done. Like it felt very stabby, which you need it. And
definitely.
Sam as a character I actually found quite interesting, because she does have the capacity to be a serial killer, and obviously we get to see that at the end.
We'll get into spoilers in a.
That's not a spoiler, is it?
In a set, I think so.
I mean, a little bit.
She hasn't killed in it. Well,
save it. Yeah, I loved this film. Like, it was exactly what I wanted it to be. Everything I hoped it would be. Like I said, Scream's just got this pass where it can basically be the same film over and over, and I'll have a great time regardless. I think if it did change up the formula, it wouldn't be Scream anymore. And I love that these new directors who have come in didn't try and put their own spin on it. If Wes Craven was, still with us, I think this is the Scream sequel that he would have given us as well. And I feel that reverence and love for the series can really be felt throughout, especially when dealing with the legacy characters, bringing them back. I thought they were all great as well. I thought David Arquette, actually, out of the three of them, stole the show. And I really liked the new cast. Melissa Barrera from In the Heights was great as our lead. Jack Quaid, I just want him in more stuff.
He was brilliant.
He's so good. And at times I was like, it's sort of just Huey again from The Boys, but I love Huey from The Boys. So.
I think Jenna Ortega was good as well.
Jenna Ortega was really good.
Our first scene, she was really good in it. And
the twins as well, Chad and Mindy, who I can't remember the actor's name, but I think it's like Jasmine.
Mason Gooding and Jasmine Savoy Brown.
That's it. Jasmine Savoy Brown is also in Yellow Jackets, which I'm currently binging, and she's fantastic. So her in more stuff, please. Wasn't really a weak link in the cast for me. Just a glowing review from me, really. I really loved this. Even the second time when I watched it last night with Calvin, it's just so much fun. And again, these like weird little comfort movies for me. Weirdly, it's strange because obviously, people are being brutally murdered.
To unwind with mass murder.
But that's the thing about Scream, is they've established this tone where, as gruesome and horrifying as things get, they stick to that tone, and it never becomes sort of I don't know how to explain it. It never becomes too much or like scary, or it rides that line of, it's a movie. It's a movie, and it knows it's a movie, and that's what I love. Anyway,
classic line.
I love it. Right, yeah. Let's get into spoilers then. So if you have not seen Five Cream yet, pause this, come back after you have. We all recommend it.
Yeah.
At least a recommendation, Rhys.
I can see why people like it. I'm gonna leave it a while, go back to it.
Okay, cool.
And then maybe my opinion will change. But I don't think it's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie.
It's definitely not a bad movie, and I'm going to convince you otherwise. Right, so spoilers. The killers were, as I suspected as soon as he was cast, Jack Quaid is the murderer. Not for the reason I thought. I always thought there was going to be some connection between Richie and Stu from the first movie, just because I think there's some resemblance between Jack Quaid and Matthew Lillard. But it turns out it's Sam who is connected to
Billy.
Can't remember his fucking name then. She is the daughter of Billy Loomis, and she has these visions of her dead biological father that appear to her, which at first sort of threw me off, but then the second time I watched it, I was like, this is silly, it's fun. So who did you and the other killer is
Amber,
Tara's friend, Amber, who you'll recognize from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, who dies pretty much the exact same way.
Also a psychopath in that too.
Prone to flames.
I think she was just added as sort of like the wild card because everyone suspected Jack Quaid anyway, Like
I don't know. I suspected her before I suspected Jack Quaid.
She was acting pretty fishy throughout.
But obviously the film's job is to try and make everyone suspicious. And there was a part of the film where I thought it was the twins, but obviously that was like throwing you off. But I don't mind it all coming around to the person you first suspected anyway. I think Knives Out did an amazing job of that. Spoilers for Knives Out anyway. But like this one, like I said, I just thought I had the capacity to sort of do something. It could still be him, but I don't know if the reveal at the end, I was a bit like, oh, so the reveal, because the whole film was just satirizing, which I was fine with. And then the ending, I thought it had a chance to really do something, but it's fine that it reverted back to it because that's what it does. But for me, I kind of I would have preferred if it was like quite like a clever pulling the rug from out you and ending. But you could still do it that way. I just thought like the reveal came and he was like, it's been me the whole time. Dewey had it correct. And I was just like,
that's why I think it sort of gets away with it, because it is.
Yeah, it works for the film. But I just think I think they did a really good job at making the film. And obviously they have a lot of love for the franchise. And I thought that, you could do something here that would actually be impressive on a different level. Like it's impressive on a level as a satire. But but I would think they could have done. I'm like praising the film and saying I thought they could have not made a serious ending, but did a lot more with it.
Okay.
I would have been more surprised if it was Liv, the girlfriend, who all the way through the film they were like, she's probably the killer.
Well, she was the one out of the friend group where I was like, it's definitely not her.
I'd been more surprised if it was that
developed, and if it was her, I would have been like, oh.
And like, I think Amber is very obvious because she's clearly a psychopath very early on. She shows like no emotion through the entire film.
Yeah, they shouldn't have just got. No, she's not showing emotion. He's a trained psychopath. But they shouldn't have got. I don't think maybe they should have cast. Maybe that was the point. Like they would cast her, who's played a psychopath and got burned alive, and also she looks like a psychopath. Like she does. She looks quite like. Strange.
She's weird looking.
Not weird looking, but she has like a look.
I was going to say, I was like, she's definitely not weird looking.
No. But she has like a look in her eye where I'm like, oh, I don't know.
serial killer eyes.
Yeah, but Jack Quaid doesn't. So I don't know if that's what they wanted.
I think as soon as that reveal happens, I think Jack Quaid's really good at switching.
Yeah,
and
it's annoying
Matthew
because
Lillard
he was
does
shot
it
in
as
the
well.
leg, and then he was walking fine.
But Courtney Cox got, they all got shot and stabbed, and then 2 minutes later,
and then Courtney Cox got stabbed or got shot, and then they put a blanket around her. 2
minutes later, she's like, "Oh fuck it." I thought she was going to be out of commission as soon as she got popped in the belly, and then nope. I do find it funny how the main characters are just so like, especially they're just so fine with murder. Like, we're gonna kill them. Like, yeah. I love that though. I think that's so.
I think it worked. I think it worked for like Sam's character because, like, we're going back to said, like I said earlier, she has the capacity because she sees her dead father, who's trying to who's part of like her conscience, trying to egg her on. So she obviously has like these impulses.
Yeah.
Where she wants to, like, that's what I was taking it as. She takes, like, I took it as that way, that she wasn't just seeing him and was like, he was sort of her, like, it was part of herself that was trying to push her to do something. And that's why she's like the way she is. I thought that was interesting. And then, you really see what she's capable of, the way she kills Jack Quaid is not how people, is not how normal people, if no matter how angry you are, I just the way she killed him was like, she's got something.
It's brutal, isn't it? Like,
I loved it. I nearly cheered. It was great.
Yeah, she's got like something in her, which is like, not obviously you see it, but like this, like I just thought it was quite made a character 3-dimensional, that she could be the villain.
Yeah,
but she's strong enough to sort of not. I don't know if she might carry on. She might get a taste for it now.
And she could be the bad guy in Scream 6.
But yeah, the way she killed him, I just loved. Jack Quaid's acting in that kills him. It's great.
I was going to bring this up because that is one of. It's always hard. A lot of these performances we watch sometimes are difficult when it gets to a death scene, and we're like, you didn't really pull that off. I always think of Marion Cotillard in The Dark Knight Rises, one of the worst deaths on screen ever. But this was phenomenal. When she finally slits his throat, and he sort of like he's all twitchy and gasping for breath, and he's sort of like choking on his blood. Incredible. Give Jack Quaid an Oscar, because that was.
I always think the death scenes in
fantastic.
Scream though are pretty well done. I think in death scenes, and I think a lot of the time in death scenes in like horror films, they just kind of like throwaway deaths. So like, oh, we'll slice them open, they die. But I feel like Scream have made a really good thing of like.
Scream, a death's got to be like a scenes. Thing, hasn't it? In Scream, that's what those are like. Those are the set pieces.
I still have no idea how like the sister at the start of the film sort of survived, because that big slash that comes down to come up with the title sequence, I was like, that's straight in the face.
Well, yeah, I was like, she's dead, and then
she wasn't supposed to die.
Your expectations.
She wasn't supposed to die.
Exactly.
I do think, like you said, James, you love watching Ghostface getting knocked around, and I think they do a really good job.
Funny.
They do a really good job at showing that like this is one of their friends, because they're not like a real meticulous serial killer.
It's not Michael Myers.
It does always make me laugh.
It's a teenager in a costume.
It does make me laugh though that it's obviously not the actor in the costume that's doing it.
Well, yeah, because as soon as someone puts on a ghost face mask, they're immediately 6'4".
Yeah, because like the bit where
it definitely wasn't Amber.
Kills,
no, I know.
Yeah, when Amber kills
Dewey up,
she's like the same size, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense.
Again, for me, like, that's all part of the fun. You forego logic in a Scream movie.
Because if you saw someone really short running around in the Scream, that's obviously that person.
Could she get enough force to jump through a window unharmed? Like in the hospital, comes through whatever.
They're invincible.
I did like the scene with Mindy. Mindy, for me, I don't know why any of them are friends with her, because she's just being like, yeah, she's probably dead. I'm like, that's not the kind of person you want in your life. But that bit where she's watching the movie,
and
it's like, oh, turn around that whole time, because you're watching it thinking, just fucking turn around.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I didn't think she was going.
I didn't think she was going to, but then when she did, I was like, okay, I like that little bit, that little scene.
Yeah, that's why there's just little callbacks and stuff to the first movie, and it's very meta with, of course, like the in canon franchise being Stab, which is basically just Scream anyway, and it's all sort of intertwined. I always love it when a character's watching Stab, but it's just like different actors in scenes that
I think
know from Scream.
the real villain in all this is Gail Weathers. Stop writing those fucking books, man.
Well, she said at the end of this one, she was like, "No, I'm not writing about this."
How many murders they take her to finally go, you know what? I won't write about it again.
5 movies it took her.
The minimum
like,
is
nah.
the minimum is 1. 1 murder. Stop writing a book.
Speaking of Courtney Cox, I thought she was great. I thought her scene with Dewey when they reunited was actually really poignant and nice, because when we leave them in Scream 4, everything's, they're happily married, and it was sad to see those two go off as they did in real life, which I never realized those two were married for so long.
Yeah.
No, I don't know how that passed me by. I never noticed. Do we have a favorite death in the movie? A favorite ghost face murder?
No, I like the Dewey one. Just the 2 knives.
That actually got me, because I love all these characters. I love these movies. When Dewey died, I was like, oh my God, they've got one of the core 3.
I'm always surprised that David Arquette is like quite a good actor.
He's my favorite Scream character.
Because like Dewey. I know in real life, there's some stories about him being a bit of a weird bloke. But when I see him act, I'm like, he's actually good. He needs to.
I thought he was good in this, yeah.
Like when he's in Spree as well, I think he's pretty good in Spree. And I love that movie.
He was in Spree. Yeah, I forgot about that. I think the death that sort of like got me the most was Dylan Minette's character, Wes.
Yeah, that was my favorite death. That was
God. It just this slight knife through the side of the throat that made me feel sick. Oh, yeah. Where would we rank this among the other 4 films?
I can't remember.
It's probably second for me. I don't.
It's second for me as well.
Yeah.
Second for me as well. I don't think anything will ever touch that.
I'm a lot more on board with Billy having a strange daughter than having a mum who's also a psychopath. I'm a lot more on board with that, and bloody Sydney having a brother as well.
Well, 3 is my least favorite, because it's the one that it's so convoluted. Like this secret sibling that she had that was rejected by her mother in a different life. It's insane. Right, let's do our ranking, because we've only got 10 minutes left on the recording. Rhys, out of 5.
I will give it I'll give it a 4. So like I said, it's not bad. No, I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3.5.
I was gonna say you didn't sound like a 4.
No, I'll give it a 3.5. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad movie.
Okay.
I think it's that I was fatigued with all the films, and also I was just tired going to see it.
Maybe if you watch it again, we'll get you.
I'll leave it a couple of months.
Second verdict.
I'll go back. I'll watch the first Scream, and then I'll immediately watch Scream 5.
Okay.
And then maybe I'll enjoy it more. But yeah,
Nice.
3.5.
3.5. Calvin, out of 5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4. I was actually really surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I thought it was just going to be. I mean, I did hear people saying it was actually all right. Because I wasn't excited for it or anything, but I thought, I'll go see it. Yeah, it actually surprised me of how much I enjoyed it.
I'm also quite surprised by your 4 out of 5. I love that. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5. This was everything I wanted from this movie. It's everything I want from a Scream movie. I don't want to go in and have my expectations subverted, and for them to rewrite the rules and change up the formula. I want exactly what I know, and that's exactly what they gave me. So this is getting a 4.5 out of 5. It's nice, isn't it? Coming into a new year and having a good movie already. It's sweet, because usually we've got to sit through a bunch of crap
and there's going to be
for the first couple of months.
I think cream. I call it cream now. It's black now.
Because I had to sit through the 355 last week, and oh my god, I thought this is it. This is January saying I'm back, baby, and I'm bringing a shit ton of bad movies. But Scream broke the mold. Thank you, Scream. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you, as always, for listening. If you're listening on YouTube, then let us know down below in the comments what you thought of 5 Cream. Also, like and subscribe. If you're listening on another streaming platform, then rate, like, follow, all of that good stuff. Really helps us out. Until next time, keep it real.